dummy. So even though I think you know everybody, do you want to just do a quick introduction?
Sure. Hey,
Awesome.
everybody. I'm Whitney Von Haam. I serve as Executive Director of the Wake County Bar Association and 10th Judicial District Bar. I'm lucky enough to have a Wake County Bar Association member on the call. Hello, Josh. It's great to see you. And we are in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Yay. So we're just, going through some really simple, FYI questions. And I told you when I emailed you, part of it is that we hope once we finish our slate that we can provide this to Karen Core and the communications folks so that they can do some magic with it too. So I'm going to ask Barry. Barry, do you have a question for Whitney? Mr. Barry Kohler, question.
I'm sorry, I think I had a break in my connection there for a second. So
awesome.
Sorry. Hey Whitney, thanks for coming and thanks for all you've done for NABE over the years.
Oh,
I know you've done a lot. So what's your inspiration for coming back and wanting to be treasurer of the organization?
Well, I really have enjoyed the time that I spent in NABE. I've been a member for almost 20 years. And, I had a very slow ramp up in my involvement. 2020 was a lot for all of us. I went through some personal changes as well. And so I knew that it would probably be a great time to not only focus on my bar here, but also on my family, and did that. So I always did it with the intention of coming back. So there wasn't one thing that moved me, but I sure love the group. I love the way we interact both in person. And I have to say over the last year and a half, it's been pretty incredible, the connection that I still feel with so many people. And because of that, I like to serve organizations that I feel passionate about. And that's how I feel about NABE.
Liz, do you have any questions for Whitney?
Yep. So, hi, Whitney. It's great to see you.
Hey, Liz.
I guess I'd be curious, given your involvement with NABE, what are some things that you think we're doing well? What are some things you think we need to be thinking about or working on?
Well, I think the membership engagement piece that we've put into, effect in the last year and a half, 2 years, really is making an impact. I know just from a personal standpoint of making that personal contact with people, I serve as a mentor, or I guess a docent now, and having that one-on-one contact with someone has been great. I love the notes that I've written both as a board member and when I was A&F section chair, to really kind of bring home that connection between people. I think that all of those things are moving in the positive direction. I am amazed even now how frequently people think, because of the name, that it is limited to executive directors. I think that is a misconception that has been clearly noted in our strategic plan, but I think it's one that we need to continue focusing on and making sure that we're doing our best to broaden the reach of who NABE can and does serve, and making sure those people know it. I think that can be improved. I think we're struggling like all organizations right now. Membership organizations, particularly during this downtime, people take a much harder look at what is the value I'm getting out of that. I think we're doing a better job of expressing that, but I think that it's the type of thing that if we take our foot off the gas at all, that it could really impact our membership numbers. So I think that's something we'll need to continue focusing on. But I think, generally, it's good to work with a group who, not only does this what we're doing in our volunteer lives, but we're also doing it in our professional lives. So we tend to be a group that maintains that level of focus on areas that can become a bigger impact.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? I'm very, hey Whitney, I'm very interested. When I was membership committee chair here at NABE, we talked a lot about sort of a two-pronged approach of trying to bring that value, to not EDs, and then it's kind of the EDs. We handled this before, but the EDs, I mean, it's for you because you're in that position too. They're such multifaceted, right? I feel like you got like the political in nature, like kind of getting ready, like with your president and sort of doing things there. I know that goes to the NCVP, but at the same time, then there's the, you know, the relations with other EDs, right? And then being your professional development. Then there's like really the meat of it too, you know, some meat of programming you can do, but then also your folks on your staff. So I guess I just had a question with that, as you said, you know, it's not just for EDs. What's the best approach in sharing that? And what I mean is it like to convince EDs more so,
Right.
you know, and or to convince, and how do you convince or get the budget for
Right.
membership for not EDs? You know, that's kind of, and I think it's hard when you're like, you know, 6-person staff or so. Like I get it, you know, at the same time,
Right.
that is not beyond a 60-person or 55-person staff where we are, that we have that challenge, as you know. So I just wondered your kind of thoughts on how to approach that.
Absolutely. Well, Josh, this seems like the question that is like secondary in bar world to how do you get government lawyers to join? So like, if you can figure that one out, then this one can't be hard.
Yeah.
Well, I do have the unique perspective that I was a NABE member for many years as the membership director at the North Carolina Bar Association. And I will tell you, particularly in those early years, you know, I was in my mid-20s. I was not serving in one of the core areas where we had a lot of members in NABE. And I would go to the mid-year and annual meetings, and I would feel like I connected with someone. I couldn't wait for my new buddy, and I would never see them again. And it was really hard. And I'm outgoing, and it felt hard for me to find a niche. And so I can really appreciate that we have a long road ahead. Now, of course, that was 20 years ago. We have made impact and improved, but I do think that that's something that we need to remember, because I've been in that position where you don't have your cohort there and you're kind of out floating on your own. And how do you make that connection? And I will tell you that it did get a lot easier once I became an executive director. So that clearly shows me that there is something there that is still missing. What is the easiest way to do it? I don't know. Is it convincing executive directors that it's of value for their staff? Well, certainly. I have a staff person who is a member of NABE, but I don't have all of my staff members as members of NABE because I don't know exactly where they would fit. So I think that there is something to be said about a lot of potential membership as we broaden. I don't know where we interest, because you could work with executive directors all the time, but they're always going to have their eye on just the cost factor of it. But is it, you know, another great way to reach out? Is it that going bar association to bar association, as we have a little bit more in the administration and finance section, and looking for people who should be members of the A&F section, and then kind of doing it, you know, grassroots up, you know, let your executive director know. And I think as a section, I know A&F took a real proactive approach at doing that by letting people know that we would give them scholarships to NABE for this first year if they would get involved in our section. And that, I think, has had some level of results. So what is the silver bullet? I don't know. I know that it's something that we need to continue looking at and thinking about.
Dennis?
Thanks. Is it Sarah? Is that your member?
That is my member.
Yeah, I think, Whitney, if you can promise to deliver on getting asthmatics to every NABE event, I would be happy. Because we had such a good time with spasmatics down in Austin.
I know, right?
My question is, what do you think the board's going to need to do? You know, we did a good job of pivoting with COVID. What, in your mind, what are we going to need to do to pivot when we come out of the pandemic?
You know, I don't know if the word pivot is going to be the right one, because I think it's going to be figure out what this new normal looks like. What are the things we're going to keep? What are the things that, you know, this is a great opportunity to let them sort of die on their own and nobody notices, because they've had a year plus to allow some change to happen, and might look back with a tear in their eye at how much they loved, I'll just say, the mid-year meeting, but what a great time to say, but we're doing something new. And I think even when I look around my bar, I think that's what we're all kind of doing, is saying like, this is a great moment. What does that new normal look like though? And I think that's something we're all trying to get our arms around. What we have found, and we've had a year plus now of really what is generally focus groups of, you know, what do you like? You like shorter sessions, you like interaction. I kind of was thinking, I think NABE ought to have like a t-shirt or something that says, you know, NABE been doing Zoom since 2018. Like, that's the only way I knew Zoom before, and felt pretty confident when my whole world changed to it. And man, you know, I can't say enough about, you know, turning to my staff and saying, we've got this. And that's only because I'd already done Zoom meetings. But I do think that we look at what our members are responding to, where, you know, where things can easily be, you know, let go. And I think we do have a unique opportunity to do that right now.
Super. I want to give you kudos too for all your work you've done on the A&F, because at NABE, in the short time I've been there, you've moved beyond just a communicator. I really think you're a connector for NABE. So we really appreciate everything you do.
I enjoy that group so much.
So, so the last question I'm going to ask, thankfully, you did apply for treasurer.
I did. I know, right? Nobody ever wants to. I used to be that first person to say, like, I can't. But when you look at staff members who are going to be like supporting you in that, you're thinking, okay, it's not me in the audit.
So that is my question. Have you had a chance to talk with Fran and or Tondanisha?
I have not specifically talked to them about the position at this time. I know that I worked, you know, a fair amount with Fran when I was sitting on the board. I also knew that he had a lot of things going on in his life that I thought, well, if this happens, I can sit down and do the deep dive. But I do know some of the things that we've had to look at intensely from my, you know, program development background. I know that mid-year and annual meeting and the budget lines that come with that can both come with a lot of positives when you're making money and some concerns when you're not. I also have looked at the report that talks about making a change in a membership dues structure. And that's a big, scary leap, and certainly one that will impact the way that we're looking at our budgets and how we think through and you know, prepare our sections, our members and everything for the budgeted year ahead. I haven't also reached out to Tondanisha personally, but I know we've worked together in the past and I've always enjoyed and felt like she was very capable, keeps, you know, any treasurer moving forward and in a straight line. What I think in a membership organization like we are, what a treasurer really serves as is the person who's there to look for areas of rust. And I always said that in my membership world of, you know, like a bridge is okay until it has little areas of rust. And those are small things at first, but they become huge problems. And if you don't take care of them when they're a little period of rust, then, you know, you're going to be, you know, underwater soon. And I think that as a treasurer, you can really look at those areas and get a better scale of where our positives are and where our negatives are, and make sure that anything that is a small problem doesn't become a big problem.
Anybody have anything else they'd like to ask or add?
I'm just looking forward to you cutting that rust out, Whitney. Cut that rust. Yeah.
I'm going to weld it away.
Oh, well,
Well, thank you, Whitney. It's always a pleasure.
It was great to see you all. Next time, let's make sure it's not like in an interview, because that's all kinds of weird, right?
Let's just hope that it's actually in person someday soon.
That's right. That's right. Feeling a little bit more hopeful than I had a few months ago, that's for sure. So
absolutely.
thanks, everyone.